I started touring when I was 16 years old. And
By yourself?
By myself.
Wow.
And it was with a ministry, and I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I remember very vividly getting on stage that first
I don't know if
night.
the ministry knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't know either, but we're here, and they said yes.
Yeah, okay.
I remember getting on stage the first night of that tour, and I was like, what if I just forget every single thing that I'm about to sing and say?
We're all recording here, so.
Oh, sweet. We're recording.
This isn't your first time talking into one of these mics or singing into one of these mics.
This is not. No. Although it might appear like that right now. I'm just kidding. I got started in music when I was really 5 years old, singing on my front porch. I didn't know it would lead to anything. And then I started in middle school. I had a student teacher who'd hear me singing in the classroom, and she's like, hey, you should come sing at the youth group. And so I did. I started singing at the youth group and loved it. Once again, didn't know it would lead to a whole career. I grew up listening to Christian music, grew up listening to Christian radio, and so I always had a heartbeat for it. But really, when I started writing songs is when that spark kind of came alive inside of me, and I saw people starting to connect with the music, in 8th grade, and that's really what kept that fire going inside of me to this day. I think when you start to see the power of what you're doing start to resonate with people, it's so special to see that, because you want to continue to see, for me in Christian music, God moving through the power of the music. So it's been really, really sweet to have that. But yeah, I think I was talking to another artist last year, and they were saying, the most successful people in this town aren't always the most talented, but it's the ones that don't quit. I was like, dang, that's pretty true.
100%, yeah.
And so, yeah, it's really encouraging. So,
do you ever have a moment where you think about yourself, like, I know how to sing? Like, it's not so much like, man, I just have that amazing, like, Justin Bieber voice, but it's more like, no, I know how to sing. Like, I know how to sing good. Like, I know how to sing a song.
I've never thought about that. Honestly, yeah, I've had to really work at, vocals and talent and all that stuff. Like, there's some people that just come straight out the womb and they sound like Justin Bieber. You know? I'll be the first to admit I'm not that person. I've had to really work at it. But honestly, kind of what you said, just that determination, man. Yeah. It's pretty true.
So do you have a knack for writing songs, or is it something that you had to work through, and because you're like, no, I need to do this, I need to learn, like, I want to be able to, I want to communicate this? Is that something you had to, like, really work on, or is that something that you feel like you kind of have a knack for, you're born with?
I'd say both. Okay. Songwriting is like a muscle, is what one of my producers told me. I remember I turned in 100 songs, and he's like, that's great, keep going.
That's a lot, though.
It's a lot.
You're doing like 100 songs.
100 songs.
That is a lot.
Yeah. And so I was like, what, dude, I just turned in 100 songs. Are you kidding me? But there was something so special about that, because I saw that by the power of writing and writing and writing and writing and writing, I saw what really made my heartbeat come alive. And so I would say from a very young age, I was always that silly guy. Like, I can make up a song just about anything, like VeggieTales, Where's My Hairbrush? I'd make my own parody and all that fun stuff.
So you're good with rhymes?
I guess, yes. Okay. I might be able to freestyle a little bit. Okay. So, maybe you'll get that later on. But yeah, but at the same time, there's a certain way to write certain songs that I've had to really learn and grow, and what makes me write a song that feels like me,
Do you ever feel a little bit of confined a little bit in like, do you ever have a knack or urge every once in a while, like, you want to write something completely different, you want to record something completely different, but it's not necessarily kind of on brand with what you're building, and so you're like, well, I guess I'll have to shelf that, but you're like, man, it's good though.
Totally. Yeah. Actually, I wrote a song the other day. I'm not going to say what the title is or anything, but it was a little like left of center, and I was actually surprised because my label loved it. So you never know. Like, I think to put yourself in a box is not really a great thing to do as a creative. Obviously, there's a certain lane for a certain market that sometimes works, but I think we're living in really special times, specifically in Christian music and music in general. The boundaries upon a genre or anything are really fading away, which is really, really cool. It is good, yeah. So I do feel a lot of creative freedom, which is really, really awesome.
If you go to like Winter Jam or a lot of these big, they got like 30 artists on stage. A lot of them are older, and a lot of them have stories about, I was 30 and I was out of work and I've always wanted to pursue music, and a lot of them have those cool stories. But you were like 15, 16. How old? You moved to Nashville when you were how old?
18.
That's got to be, you're in the 1% as far as parents being like, oh yeah, 18-year-old, just go. Like, 4 states away.
Right.
And like, go do music.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I started touring when I was 16 years old, and
By yourself?
By myself.
Wow.
And it was with a ministry, and I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I remember very vividly getting on stage that first
I don't know if the
night.
ministry knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't know either, but we're here, and they said yes.
Yeah, okay.
I remember getting on stage the first night of that tour, and I was like, what if I just forget every single thing that I'm about to sing and say? And somehow, dude, it all happened. It all came together. And I just had to learn by being kind of thrown into the fire, and I'm very thankful for parents that have believed in me from day one. Never said no, you can't do that.
Right.
They just always let me kind of fly and let me try and fail sometimes, you know. And I'm really, really thankful for that.
What's the longest tour you've done? Like one tour is like 2 months, 3 months, or maybe it was by dates.
Yeah, there's been a handful of different tours. I mean, I was out with the Newsboys a couple years ago. That was like 25, 30 dates. So that was pretty awesome.
Do you have a certain routine or something to get you like, because some days you're feeling it as far as like, you're just the people guy. And then the next day you're just like, you just don't feel like being there.
Yeah.
Do you have, but you have to, right? If you're like going to come on stage, you got to bring that energy and stuff.
Right.
Do you have like a certain routine or hack that you're like, man, like, well, I always like, I run for 30 minutes before every show, or like in the morning to like get my energy back up, or is it just like, no, I just like press go because I have to do it?
Man, I wake up every day and I just take a big giant scoop of protein powder raw.
A little pre-workout.
No, none of that. Yeah, I would say it's interesting because I feel like sometimes I've had to really work at this, having better routines on the road than I do at home. You know, I played a lot of shows last year, and I'm very, very thankful for it. And so you kind of get used to a certain way on the road, and then coming back home, you know, it's a little bit more difficult, community and all those things. But yeah, I try and wake up. If I'm on a bus tour, I'll wake up at like 10:30, 11
Okay,
a.m.
sure, because you can.
Yeah,
exactly.
I go to bed at like 2 a.m. Usually wake up, get a nice glass of water, try and dive into the Word at least a little bit right away, and then go off the bus, check out where we're at, check out the venue, you know, freshen up just a little bit,
right,
and then make some phone calls and kind of get ready rolling with the day. But I think I've really had to learn that balance of, yes, I'm a people person, but at the same time I have to be recharged by doing things that fill me up, you know. Like today's an off day for me, and I'm really, really stoked because I get to just kind of rest and get filled up. So I've had to be really intentional about the Sabbath, which is something that, you know, we're supposed to do, but we don't always do it, you know.
Right. So after a show, are you pumped? Because like normally for me, like after a good show, you're like awake for like 5 hours straight. Like you're just pumped.
Oh yeah.
Or are you like just dead and you're like, I gotta go to sleep? Like,
oh no, I'm ready. I'm amped. Yeah, that's why
you're
I
like
stay
ready
up
to
till 2
run
a.m.
it back. You're like,
yeah, it's so true. And I'm kind of like an overcoming perfectionist, you know.
Okay.
So I always kind of overanalyze stuff, but yeah, man, I love it.
Do you like watching your own stuff?
Like watching shows
like
back?
Like as far as being a perfectionist, like are you like, oh no, I want to see myself, or are you like, man, I have to watch this?
Man,
like,
I used to hate it, but I do watch back. It's kind of like a football player or whatever watching film. You know, watching you can learn a lot. So
you watch film for a venue, like for the crowd, like you're watching film crowd.
Right.
Do you get to see many sites, or is it more just bus stop to bus stop?
Every tour is a little bit different, but this past year I've actually got to see some really cool spots. Like I've been on some really sweet tours. I was out in the fall. I was on the East Coast all in the fall, which is great. That was super beautiful. Got to go to some awesome places. I love going to coffee shops, and I love have a little scooter that I was going to ask you. Take around. Yeah, okay, so nice. I take that out there, and it's fun. It's always a good time.
What's your range on that? Like,
oh goodness,
how far can you go?
Like 15 miles.
That's not bad. So you can get like,
you can go pretty good.
Because normally you're going to be somewhat in downtown or a town. Like you can probably get to a coffee shop or something 7 minutes away.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Your little backpack. Fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's gotta be cool.
It's always a little like adventure, you know. For me.
Yeah.
So
that's got to help spice it up a little bit.
Oh, absolutely.
What do you do to like stay entertained on the road, or is it just like, man, if I'm not performing, like I'm trying to sleep? Or
no, I'm not really a big sleeper.
Okay.
I mean, obviously
some guys
at
are
nighttime, but I don't just.
Some guys use tours to sleep like 12 hours.
Yeah, no, that's not me.
Okay.
No, absolutely. I'm like At night, I'll sleep for 10 hours.
Right.
Maybe. That's a long time for me.
You're not like a nap guy. Like he's like, man, he's always sleeping.
No. I can take naps, which is great. Fun fact, I've actually never shared this in an interview, but I can pretty much sleep anywhere at any time, which is...
Lights, noises, you can sleep.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Which is pretty great. It's like a hidden talent of mine, but I never use it enough. You know what I mean?
You got to work it out.
I got to work
like
it
a muscle.
out. I got to lose it. But like if I'm really tired, I can just go to sleep really fast. I can sleep on an airplane, although it's a little nerve-wracking.
So we're talking position now. Like you can sleep like this.
Well, it's got to be like a little bit like that. But it gets really awkward if you start leaning into your neighbor there. It's like, oof.
Get a little neighborly.
So, yeah, little neighborly.
Little
not
State
good.
Farmish.
Not good. Not good.
Does caffeine affect you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why I'm always charged.
So you're always... Okay.
See this? Probably shouldn't show the logo, but this energy drink is amazing. I don't want you to get...
So you're always on one of those. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's... But
this is tea.
Oh, have you heard of like Yerba Mate?
Yeah, that's good. Okay. That's pretty much the same thing.
Okay, yeah. That's something that... I feel like it's supposed to be more of a healthy
sponsor caffeine. The pod here.
Yeah, let's get Yerba Mate on here.
It's great.
Do you feel like you need something to kick you up before you go out, or do you feel like you have enough energy? Like, yeah, you can do it. Like,
I feel like I need the opposite.
Oh, really? Like calm me down?
Yeah.
That's a good problem to have, I feel like.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah.
But I try not to have too much coffee on days that I'm on stage.
So off the road, off singing, what is... Whether that's a month, 2 months, 3 months, what does that kind of look like for you? Do you try to write on the road, or is this your time to write? Is this your time to like not think about that for a while? Is it? I mean, because being creative is exhausting, right? And it is like work, and so most people don't work 24/7, right? But a lot of times you're thinking 24/7, whether it's like writing or if you're on the road, you're kind of in this, in the cycle, 24/7. So when you get home, is it still like, man, no, like I'm back to writing, or is it just like, no, like I like to chill, go play pickleball? Like, what's your thing?
Man, I think it's super interesting because back in the day, music used to be a thing where, if you wanted to record a song, you had to go to a studio, right? You could only record a song if you had a record label, right? A record deal. There was no social media. When you're on the road, you're doing the thing.
Right.
When you're off the road, you're not doing the thing. Nowadays, as an artist, it's so unique because you're supposed to be on all the time.
Right.
We have social media. We have literally, you can record a song in your bedroom if you wanted to. You have all these different things, and so it's really turned into something that never shuts off if you allow it to. And so, man, I've had to learn that balance. I'm so thankful. I would say 95% of the time what I do doesn't feel like work, which is amazing, and I'm so thankful for that. But I'm always in a creative mode usually.
Okay,
I love creating, and it doesn't feel like work for me. But right now I'm in a songwriting season where I've been writing a ton of songs. I've got like 45 plus songs. I'm writing for a new album. So
that's a lot of songs.
Yeah, but I'll probably write like 65, 70, maybe 80.
When you say like 65 songs, is this a verse, chorus, or is this like two verses, chorus?
Like full songs.
These are full songs.
Yeah.
That's a lot of writing. I don't think people realize how much most people are lucky they get a couple off and they're like, man, right. That's a lot. If you wrote one a day, it'd still take you 2 months. Exactly.
So I've been writing a ton, but I love it. Really special. And then I've been playing shows too. So I'm really, I'm out like once a week playing a show a week right now. It's going to pick up later.
Are these like
this
just
year.
more one-offs?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm back in Nashville.
I feel like maybe with being in 2024 with social media and you can record anywhere and all that kind of stuff, I feel like maybe being on the road is more can be more productive or advantageous for artists, because not only can they make the money, but now like you can still record on the road. You can still be present in the socials, whatever. Whereas before, if you went on the road, you kind of shut down the whole recording and releasing thing, and you could write, but that was kind of done, and you had to. And then when you got back off the road, you're like, okay, now we're gonna like create music, but now you can kind of do a lot of this stuff simultaneously. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I find for me, like if I'm not on the road, I get into a very unique headspace as far as my writing's not as creative or encouraged. I think by being on the road and seeing people connect with certain things and hearing stories, so it really
keeps me writing the songs.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you gotten to play overseas yet?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah, it was when I was 16 or 17.
So those are the years. Those are the pant ripping. Like,
man, that's it. Yeah, like the stuff that nobody sees anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, it must have just happened
and that
overnight.
ministry took on a minor.
Yeah. Oh, shoot. That's right.
That's, yeah.
So, yeah, man.
That's a bar right there.
That is a bar. You should be a rapper. Yeah. But I went to Malta, which is south of Italy, which is really sweet.
Oh, nice.
For a music festival and a missions trip, so it was cool.
So vacay/missions.
Yeah,
you're going to south of Italy.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, okay,
it was pretty awesome.
That is cool. Was that part of your church or part of the music ministry?
Part of the music ministry.
Okay.
So
okay,
yeah.
So what's next overseas? Like, I mean, I know a lot of people like venture into. I feel like I don't know what the hot spots are, but like maybe Europe a little bit, Australia, some like South America stuff. I feel like is there any like place that are kind of on your horizons? Like, man, you know, I want to get over there one day. Like,
yeah, I mean, I don't have anything lined up right now, but I'd love to go to Australia.
Okay, yeah,
and New Zealand. That'd be sweet. That'd be awesome.
What's been the biggest thing that you think has mental hurdle that you had to overcome? Is it, or maybe not, but just something maybe that's always in the back of your head, like, you know, is it like, are my songs good enough? Is my voice good enough? Like those doubts, you know, that come up like, man, am I really like, am I really this, you know, especially even, you know, after you do something really well, like you had a song that's really big or you had something, you're still like, but am I really like, you know, it's like, is that me? Like, did I just get lucky, you know?
Yeah.
Or do you ever have those kind of doubts that you have to like, you like deal with?
Man, I think every day. I think no matter what career you're in, every single person faces that question, am I good enough, you know? And the truth is, honestly, apart from the Lord, we can do nothing, you know? So really on my own strength, I'm not good enough, but I'm thankful that I get to walk with Jesus and he fills me up with that fire and with that passion every single day. And so, not to take it there, but I kind of did.
Right, yeah,
no,
Jesus absolutely.
Juke. But
absolutely.
But yeah, that's a real question that I really do have to ask myself. And I have to get back to my why, you know. I started making music to just tell that one person about this hope that I have through Jesus, and still to this day it's for that one person. And no matter how many people are there, if there's 1,500 or 5, you know, it's like getting back to that keeps me going every single time, and I think it's cool to have that perspective.
So being from South Dakota, I feel like anyone outside of maybe like Nashville per se is like a self-made artist, you know, like the self-made millionaire, but in music, like that. How does that feel when you are on stage with, like, you know, you're touring with a bunch of different groups, you know, some are really successful, some have been doing it forever. You're like, man, like I just, you know, in a way, like I didn't need anyone to, like, you know, give me a golden platter with a silver spoon in my mouth. Like you're from South Dakota, which is like ranked in like probably like the bottom 1% of like producing.
Wow.
No, listen, I'm producing musical artists. Okay. Not like hockey players. And all that.
Best in producing good people, though. I'll tell you that much.
There you go. So they got the top 1% and the bottom 1%.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean, I still have 2 sisters that live up there.
Yeah, come on,
so
that's right.
I've been there more than other states.
It's a great state.
So, but it's like you're like self-made. You know, like what is that? Is it like that kind of sense of accomplishment of like confidence and accomplishment? Like I don't need other people maybe to validate me. Like I kind of built this. You know, obviously it wasn't just solely like, you know, you, and it's not like, you know, something like a pride thing, but there has to be some sort of like confidence or accomplishment of like, I didn't need anyone else to like, you know, put me on like a little stool and be like, you're gonna do this. Like, you went out there and you're like, I'm gonna do this myself. Like buck stops with me.
Yeah.
What's been one of your coolest fan stories as far as like, you know, a lot of people kind of have those stories where they saw you before or they heard a song and they're going through a situation and they come up later, and you know, it's like a cool God story, like how he used you or a song or story. Do you have like one of those that like is kind of ranked one of your top kind of stories of just how, like, you know, someone comes up to you like, hey, like, I know you don't know me, but like this is what happened with your song or your story, or I was at a concert 3 years ago? And
yeah, man, there's so many cool special stories.
Yeah.
One story in particular, a few years back, this man named Ryan heard my song on his local Christian radio station, and he had just suffered a series of strokes, and he needed kind of a song to help him as he was entering into recovery and physical therapy and all these things. And it was my song every step of the way that he kept hearing on the radio. He's like, man, I need this. And that became kind of his anthem. He sent me a message, or his family sent me a message and was like, hey, we want you to pray for Ryan. This is what he's doing. This is his song. Really has impacted him so much. I was like, that's amazing. So I sent out a little video just on my Instagram and said, hey, let's pray for Ryan together. Got some people to pray for him. A few months later, I get a message that he wants me to come to his church to do a concert. And so I did. And 6 months later, Ryan was moving. He was driving his own vehicle. He was talking. He was walking. And that's something he couldn't do 6 months ago. And I know it wasn't the power of my song that helped him, but it was the power of the gospel through that song that encouraged him. And to see him stand on that stage and be a walking testimony of how God has been faithful in his life every step of the way, even though his circumstances didn't always determine that or say that, that's so special, man. And I'll never forget that story.
And how God could have used you to reach all those different people praying for Ryan. Yeah. That, now there's thousands of people praying for him.
Yeah.
I mean, that counts.
So cool. So special.
That is cool. You have to have a crazy story. Have you had one like restraining order kind of story?
Oh, none of those. Okay. Praise God.
It's coming.
Oh, I hope not.
Well, you're still single, right?
I am still single. So
you gotta be, yeah.
There you go. Shout out. Man, I've ripped my pants on stage before.
Where?
Not in the spot it should be ripped, which is horrible. So I was 16 and I was at this festival. And they had a bunch of like motocross like ramps and stuff. I was like, oh, this is so sweet. I'm gonna just jump off this ramp, during the outro of this song. And I did. And my pants ripped. Nice.
But you stuck the landing.
I stuck the landing. But it was back in the day where everyone was wearing them like super long t-shirts, the skinny jeans and the long tees.
Like 2010 worship pastor.
Yeah. That was me. Yeah. And so I was covered a little bit. I was covered by the...
You turned into a mini skirt.
Yeah, I was covered by the amazing long t-shirts. Yes. So
what are your sports? What's your thing? You're on the road or back home, I guess.
Man, I love hockey. Big hockey fan.
Do you get to play that much?
Well, I don't play it. No way this guy could play hockey. Okay. No, I love watching it.
You love watching hockey.
I love watching it. I'm a Preds fan, Nashville Predators fan. I love football, specifically college football.
Okay, so you're not into the Super Bowl conspiracy right now, then?
Well, a little bit. It's slightly concerning, to be honest, but that's a whole separate thing.
Sure, that's a different pod.
Yeah, supposedly. But I love sports, man.
Okay,
I actually, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a sports announcer.
Really, I could see that. So you've always kind of had a knack for like something with your voice, like you're gonna use it somehow,
Somehow.
Like that was even.
Then the Lord got a hold of it, and it's like this is what you're gonna do.
Yeah. That's cool.
So, but yeah, I love sports.
What's your favorite sport to play?
Was football.
Okay, still.
Well, I don't play it anymore. Okay. But I used to
play a little like flag football or something.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a wide receiver, so.
Okay. You got the hands?
Yeah, I do.
Well, we played Ultimate that one time.
Yeah, we did.
Remember that? That was way good. Back in the day.
I was going hard,
bro,
dude.
You got roughed up.
I did, man. I was
Your
like.
back was like.
Yeah, I like.
Like it was an AstroTurf.
Yeah, that's
brutal.
It's brutal.
I'm actually coaching flag football. My two little boys. They're playing it seems like 7th, 8th grade. Yeah. So I'm coaching it this spring.
Wow.
Yeah. So I might call you up for some plays, man.
Man, you don't want to call me up. You don't want to call me up, man.
You'd be like, send them deep.
Send them deep. Hail Mary.
Yeah. So one thing that you have, I would say maybe a great advantage right now is to build in your career is that you don't have a family. Now, I know obviously that's like a goal like everyone, wants to have eventually, want a wife and a family and stuff, but that also is I'm sure is a little bit of a blessing as far as one thing that is hard for a lot of other artists is when they have that responsibility, whether it's financially or time, like, man, I should be on the road. I want to spend time with my family. Do I bring my family? But this is something where like you are able to grind a little bit more in the season and are a little bit just go right now because you don't have a lot of those responsibilities. And I don't know how long you're going to be in this kind of season for, but you kind of feel like this is kind of your season of just like, hitting the road hard.
Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. You couldn't have said it better. I mean, right now, obviously that's a goal of mine in the next couple of years. But I know the Lord will make that clear when it's the right time. But yeah, I think, really is a young man's game.
Yeah.
And so I'm very thankful that I got in it so early. But yes, I love being on the road. I want to be on the road as much as I can.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, now's the time to grind.
One thing maybe people don't appreciate, especially outside the music industry, and one thing that I've really seen and I've really been impressed with you is that you really have shown a dedication and a commitment to continually pursue music as a career. Like, it is very competitive. You know, you have to stay relevant. You have to stay on top. And to do that, you have to stay extremely consistent. Not necessarily in a brand, but I mean consistent in producing content, staying relevant, getting the show, making the connections, networking, whatever. And that's something I think you've done like nonstop for like what, 4 or 5 years now?
Yeah.
Like you haven't really stopped.
Pretty much.
And I think a lot of people would fizzle out by now. And it's not so much maybe based on talent, but just on determination. Yeah. And I feel like you have a lot of determination.
Oh, thank you, bro. Yeah, it's been a wild journey. I mean, I've always had that drive and determination. But truthfully, if it weren't for those people that believed in me from day one, like I wouldn't be here. There's so many people, so many mentors, and so many people through my church or, school or whatever that just said, hey, I think you should do this. And that's what kept spurring me on to keep going, because there's been so many moments where I'm like, is it worth it?
Sure.
Like, should I still do this thing? Right. And every time that I get to that spot, God reminds me, and he's like, keep going. And, I don't know who needs to hear this, but I think there's so many times, music or not music, whatever occupation or career or ministry you're in, like, it's going to be hard. And what has encouraged me in the past year is to get back to my why, to why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I think that's so powerful, because that's what keeps me going. And that's really why I'm still standing here right now.
Bro, thanks so much for coming on. This has been fun.
It's been great. Thanks for having me, bro. I love this, and I hope people are encouraged.